Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a bit off script, which is going to be a little bit different, so we'll just trying something new here. But I really want to talk about the housing system in Final Fantasy XIV and why it's actually in a really bad state and why this is like really impacting a lot of players of this game. So first of all, why is the housing system in a bad state? Because you know what, that's a really bold statement to make if there's not an actual reason for it. And so first of all, I can go into any housing district on my server, Gilgamesh, and if there's an open house, you will see tons of people. Like sometimes I have even seen up to 30 or 40 people at a house during peak time if a house is open, just standing at that sign for hours on end, just spam clicking it, trying to buy the house over and over and over again. And because it's an RNG timer, this sometimes will force people into like nighttime. I don't know the exact limits that people are theorizing, but I think that someone said it'll be apparently about 12 to 18-ish hours. Do not quote me on that, but that's what I heard. And so you can have some people just standing there from the time that it opens all night in hopes that they're gonna get a house. But you know what? In the end, you're just spam clicking a sign, which is incredibly draining and taxing. And then another person with an already existing house can just swoop in and steal what they've been waiting on. So what happens is if you already have a house, you can just instantly swap and get that other house. Like you can see that I could alternatively do that with either my FC or personal house. Of course I'm not gonna do that in this instance because that's really shady and the thought of that just makes me feel bad. But the fact of the matter is, you can have these people waiting for hours on end and just all their progress completely wiped out. And likewise, we also have other issues such as multiple people with this, or how to say it, the same person with multiple different houses hoarding all of these houses. Like I can just bring this up, and you know what, I'm not trying to name and shame, but I'm just showing you factually. I can go into Limsa Lominsa and show you that this same group of people has all of these houses, denying tons and tons and tons of other people all of these resources, which honestly is a really bad thing. And then another thing is that there is a limited nature of larger houses, which is going to stifle potential content creators who really want access to more resources. How to say it? A small versus a medium versus a large house, there is a dramatic, incredibly large difference between all of them. And you can almost think of it as a painter's canvas and almost the colors of paint that they have, because with a larger house you have a way bigger space, but you also have a way bigger item limit, exterior and interior wise. And so what you can really do with each of them is just, it's worlds apart. Such as you have some people on YouTube who are posting videos of like these incredibly detailed, incredibly involved large houses. And then you look at some of the other people like myself who posted a channel on a smaller house, and while I'm pretty happy with what I did, there's no way that it holds a candle to like a literal town inside of a large house, which is just spectacular for the record, and it was one of the major inspirations that made me get into housing hardcore in the first place. Another flaw is that, you know what, the housing system does make the subscription process of Final Fantasy XIV very mandatory. If you're not going to be active with an active subscription, your house is going to eventually be relinquished within, I think it's like a 45 or 48 day time period that you have to like go into the game, go into the house and leave, at least doing that. Of course, I think that that's a fair solution to the housing problem, because it's just like, if you're not active, why do you have a house? Why are you denying someone else from having that house? And honestly, I think that this is really unfortunate to a lot of people, because I know a lot of people who are trying to get into this game who might be coming from games like World of Warcraft or World of Warcraft Classic. Like, I talked to a lot of people on my server, and a lot of them are trying it out for the first time. They're with a group of friends, and they really want a house. Just something that they can like call their own and be like, hey, this is going to be our meeting place here. We're all new, we're all trying to figure this out. Let's have some kind of hub. And unfortunately, they're pretty much denied it. Like, they can get into the group of like 30 other people outside of a house just spamming that sign, and then you know what? If at the end of the day, if you're against like 10 or even 20, let alone 30 people, your chances are 1/30th to get that. I mean, put that into perspective. You have just been standing at a sign for 12 hours and then you lose it. That feels really bad. That's not even getting into if like someone swoops in and steals it. And so you have a lot of people feeling a lot of almost resentment towards this system. They're just like, oh wow, look at this really cool system. And that's one thing I do want to say, like the system is really in depth. Both interior and exterior decorations are absolutely phenomenal, and the system is truly brilliantly fleshed out. There are so many options available, and like as I said before, like I even posted my own YouTube video on the small house. Like what you can do is spectacular. Like the system is so well done. And like another thing that I kind of want to swivel back is like they have also made houses utility options. You have core resources like gardening and airships, just to list a few, that are all accessed behind this housing system. Not to mention, how will you throw a FC event like just in Limsa Lominsa versus a house? That's a dramatic difference in your community. And while you can access apartments, and I'm not going to say apartments are filled in Gilgamesh because they're not, apartments are way, way, way smaller, and I can tell you for a fact, they do not get as many visitors as my open houses, and they are a very limited system with few options, such as you can't do gardening in one, you don't have access to airships in one. And you can say, oh yeah, airships are just like an FC thing, but what is a lone crafter who really wants to get into airships supposed to do in this instance? They can't get a house, they don't have an FC, or they just opt to not want an FC, and so that entire aspect of the game, which is also another well fleshed out system with its own like kind of progression system, with its like own progression cycle and all that, and it's really kind of unfortunate when you see that, because it's just like, you're just like, wow, all these players could have like access to so much. And again, I want to like really highlight the difference. Like the difference between an apartment and a small is huge. The difference between an apartment and a medium is crazy. And the difference between an apartment and a large house is just staggering. It's out of this world. And so, as again, I'll make reference to the artist canvas thing. You know what? You don't have that good of a selection of paint, and you don't have as large of a canvas. But hey, this is completely forgetting the point that you can't even get the canvas to even start painting. Whether you're skilled or not, whether you wait or not, whether you have the gil or not. Like, so I can say for a fact that I know many friends of mine who have saved up tons and tons and tons of gil. They're ready, the FC all contributed into this pool, and nope. And I really want to say, like, one thing is just like, I don't have a solution for this, and this is a like persistent problem that we've had honestly for years at this point. Years and years and years. You can look back on the Final Fantasy 14, I don't know if it'll ever get that high, but just throwing it out there. I mean, and then that gets into the problem of, I have an FC house of my own and a personal house of my own, and both of which I've put a dodo bird in. And you know what? It really actually makes me feel good when I go to the dodo bird and I'm just like, you know what? This is awesome. Look at all these people that visited my house and left a comment or a like. And I think that a really large part of it is like the community engagement. It's just like you aren't just siloed off into your own little bubble. You're actually a huge part of this community, and that feels good. It's just like you feel like you're a bigger part of like a more like server-wide community. And you know what, with the entire data center shift, I think that it's actually a really important point to bring up. I can visit someone on Adamantois's like house, like it's opened so many possibilities, and I think that it's fantastic in that aspect. But it's just like, we still have this problem of limited options. And you know what, if on the flip side, what if you do add more like housing like areas, such as say we triple the size of this page? Would you really be willing to go through 3 pages of this? I don't know. Or what about if we had sub-districts, because we already have sub-districts now, so I don't really know what the right option is in this instance, and I'm not sure that throwing more housing options is really the best idea. Anyhow, that is all for today's video, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this, and I'm really wondering, what are your thoughts? Do you think that the housing system, like, where do you think that we could go with this? What do you think are the improvements that we could potentially make to this system? Because you know what, there's obviously an issue here, and so yeah, I just want to hear all of your thoughts, and yeah. Oh, and if you really want to help like and support me, like, this would really help if you left a like or a subscription or a comment. Honestly, any of that would make a world of difference. Anyhow, hope to catch you later. Take care.